Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. Brandon again. Today I want to talk about what I think is the best safety squat bar in the market, which is the EliteFTS Safety Squat Yoke Bar, which you can see right here.
All right, so that was me about 5 years ago talking about why I thought the Elite was the best SSB on the market. And truth be told, I would actually recommend the Titan V2 version as well, although it had some trade-offs, which I kind of preferred the Made in USA version, but I could see why people would want to go to the Titan. And those are my two most recommended SSBs for most people. Now, flash forward to where we are today, and I'm here to change my story because I think the Rep SSB is by far the best on the market. And you know what? It kind of pains me to say so because I've been on this channel before saying how I prefer Made in USA equipment. Big fan of EliteFTS, Dave Tate. However, there's some things here that you just can't deny about this particular bar, which in my opinion makes it the best on the market today. Now, a couple of things with this. EliteFTS, like I said, was my favorite for a long time. I eventually sold mine to get the Kabuki Transformer bar, which if you've seen those videos, I think is a decent all-around bar, but it doesn't replicate an SSB like a dedicated SSB does, and that's the primary use case of my Transformer bar. So I ended up picking up this Rep version instead of getting another EliteFTS one. And my main beef with the EliteFTS one is not that it isn't a good bar. It is, but it has some room for improvement. And that room for improvement has been evident since the last time I made this video 5 years ago. They haven't updated anything. My main problems with it, as most people are number one, the actual sleeves themselves are not your standard 2-inch sleeves, which means you need to have special axle collars for it. That's an additional cost no one likes. Speaking of the sleeves and the bar in general, it's made with a clear powder coat, which the first time you put on a pair of plates is going to chip all over your floor, and that bar is just going to be eaten up over time. It doesn't have a very nice finish on it. Some other complaints along with that are just things like the handles at rubber grips, not really extra nice, especially when you consider the price. So at the time of that video, I think I paid somewhere around $375 delivered for that bar, which was on sale. And these days, the bar retails for $439 plus shipping, plus tax, which would mean it costs roughly around $520 or so to get to my door here in Rhode Island. Now, they are running a special right now, and they do run sales on it occasionally, but even said it's going to end you up costing $100 more than this bar would right here, which lists for about $330, which includes a free delivery. So add to the fact that they haven't been able to update the bar to kind of compete with the competition, and the fact that the price has continued to rise, it just really doesn't make as much sense anymore, especially when you consider some of the features on this bar. And again, it pains me to say so because I prefer to buy Made in USA where possible, but this one just made a lot more sense, even much more so than the Titan version as well. And I'll try to explain some of those differences really quick in this video, just telling you what I think of this particular bar. So let's start at the end. First of all, the sleeves on this, super nice. You have like a hard chrome finish. You have laser engraved end caps. These barbell sleeves look like actual barbell sleeves. You have a snap ring on the end of it. However, they're not. They are fixed, which is fine. That's what you want in a bar of this type. But it does look really nice. Looks really premium, especially considering the price point of around $330. Now, the sleeves themselves, they're welded on. The welds on this are really nice as well. The sleeves are smooth, so if you don't like that, ribbed feeling and sound that you get putting plates on and off, you won't have as much of it on this particular bar. And overall, these things are really nice, and at 2 full inches, it's a funny thing to say, it can accept normal collars on the bar. So really nice in that regard. Titans themselves, similar in design. They look like a barbell sleeve. They use more of a shiny chrome, which I find tends to flake off more, and it's just not as appealing looking. It looks kind of cheap to me, like maybe some of those trucks from 20, 30 years ago where they just put a ton of chrome on it. I just don't think it looks as nice as some of the matte chrome on this particular bar. Coming to the actual shaft of the bar itself, this one uses a metallic black powder coat. Again, I think this looks really nice. It's held up really well the couple of months I've had it here in my basement. The Titan version, obviously, again, still uses that standard bright chrome. Titan did have for a little while, I think maybe what could be considered a V3, which was a Made in USA version. I've heard some on the back channels that they just kind of had issues with their supplier overseas, so they turned to a USA manufacturer, which I believe was Solid Bar Fitness to manufacture them. From the reviews that I've seen online from the Made in USA Titan SSB, A lot of people just didn't like it. They liked the V2 better because of the finishes and some of the quality issues with it. And I don't think that's on Titan's website anymore because they must have got their supplier figured out. So V2 is back, but it's with that really bright, shiny chrome, which I find a little bit tacky. So I really like the look of this bar in general. The next thing I want to talk about is the padding on this. So typically when we talk about other bars compared to the Elite bar, the one thing that the Elite bar always had over other people was better quality and more dense foam on here, right? So you use one of the import bars or saw a review on it and said, no, the bar's pretty good. It kind of acts the same way. The padding isn't as good as the Elite version, but for the price, it's a no-brainer. In this case, the padding on this bar, surprisingly good. In fact, I might actually complain about the padding if I had to complain about one thing, but let me explain what I mean. And that is this padding is super dense. Now, it's not like super dense to the point of the new Mars bar padding, which is more of like a plasticky type foam. This is super dense that when you have heavier weight loaded onto you, I feel it doesn't compress as much. So it's not as comfortable in some instances, which isn't a bad problem to have. So again, I'm just Karening just to Karen. I like this because it's super dense and I see this lasting a really long time. The leather cover on this as well is a nice cover. It feels pretty premium to me, and it has the rep logo on the back. As far as the distances between the handles go and all that, it's pretty standard what you'd find either on this, the Titan, or the Elite version. But I do think this probably has my favorite padding of all three bars mentioned. Another big selling point for a lot of people, myself included, even when I wasn't considering this bar, is the fact that the handles on here are knurled. You know me, I'm a knurly kind of guy. And I gotta be honest, I do think this is a little bit gimmicky, especially after getting this bar. What I will tell you is yes, they are knurled. It's super passive, but I do like this better than the other options out there, which is typically like a rubber grip. Things that remind me of like really cheap bicycles that you buy for kids at like Walmart or something like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just don't want that on my SSB. And I like this better because the grips aren't going to break or crack over time. You're just gonna have this knurling here, which is really nice. And these are pretty thick handles. I don't know the exact diameter off the top of my head. I'll throw it on the screen, but they're nice handles in terms of using this SSB. They are removable if you want, which means that down the road, maybe there will be other options as well. But it's not a problem of them being too long like you'll find on something like the Transformer bar. So that is this bar. Overall, it weighs 68 pounds. And I think when you combined the build quality of it, which is, I think, the best out of the three bars that I've seen, the Titan, the EliteFTS, and this one, the features of it in terms of, you know, the 2-inch sleeves on there, the nice powder coat finish, the knurled handles, the actual weight of the bar is sturdy. And when you take a look at some of the other stuff like the width of the bar, so the distance between where the camber starts is wider than what you'll find on the Titan version, which is in the same ballpark at around $300 ship, but I mentioned I don't like the shiny metallic chrome on that as much. And it's a little bit more narrow that if you're using a Rogue rack or a 49-inch wide rack and maybe you don't have super thin J-cups like I have here, you'll actually find that the bar doesn't fit in racks super well. If you have a rep rack or a Titan rack that's at 47 inches wide, it's not going to be as big of a problem, but this bar fits better. And again, I think the build quality on this is much better than the Titan at a price point of only $30 more, which is why this bar is my favorite SSB on the market. Now, if you haven't seen any of my other SSB videos and you're on the fence about it, let me just give you the too long didn't read because I've done a couple of videos on this type of bar already. But to me, an SSB is the best specialty bar that one can buy if you're interested in squatting, benching, and deadlifting. So if you train for a powerlifting style, I think this is a great versatile bar. Obviously, in addition to SSBs, you can do a lot of other movements. You can do Hatfield squats, single leg movements, good mornings. So good mornings on this is a lot better than on a normal barbell. If you're trying to overhead press in your space, but you don't have a lot of high clearance on your ceilings, you could use this as like a cambered way. A lot of people like to use these for JM presses. So I do think it's a very versatile bar. And unlike some other specialty bars, like for example, a deadlift bar, which is really fun to pull on, this thing, in my opinion, sucks to use, which isn't necessarily a good marketing kind of standpoint on it, but it sucks in a good way because this is a hard bar. Doing safety bar squats for me is really hard, but it's really rewarding when I see how it translates to bigger squats and deadlifts, which again is why I think this is a great bar to use versus some other potential specialty bar options. This is usually my suggestion to most people because not only is it super versatile, to me it has a lot of carryover into your own lifting and other movements. So that's it. The Rep SSB, $330 delivered to your door. I think the best value on the market. I've seen some other bars come out that look similar to this, like the Synergy one that a lot of people have been posting on Facebook or the Home Gym Discord lately, which right now is on sale for half off for like $190. It looks similar, but from watching my buddy The Chicken's video on it, shout out to The Chicken, the padding and this design does not look as good as advertised in the picture, so I'm a little bit worried about that. But for $330 here, I think this is probably the best SSB on the market. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. In the meantime, as always, thanks for watching and stay big. Woo!